hands in the soil, the morning light, harvesting grains, what a delight. Join the fun, come this way. We're gardening with Grey.
Hey folks, this is Grey here, and I want to kind of keep you guys up to date of what's going on in the garden here in Florida in March, well, mid-March per se, and where we're at. I want to show you the tremendous growth that we've had. We've had extreme success this year on the way we've planned things out, and hopefully maybe that'll give some of the other folks that are in warmer climates like myself hope for certain things like big tomatoes. I've never really had the opportunity to grow an abundance of big, large, you know, slicing tomatoes here in my gardens. I've grown everything from corn and sweet potatoes and you name it, anything else you can think of. I've done really well, pumpkins and squash and beans and yada, 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 all these different things, herbs and spices. Do really good. And I found ways around it. I found different types of varieties of plants that work well in this zone 10A. For years, I thought I was in zone 9B, but another gardener kind of alluded to me like, hey, you're right on the cusp. You're in 10A. And I was like, oh, good to know that, because now it kind of pushes the way I'm doing my gardening a little bit differently than I was doing it. But what I wanted to do in this video, honestly, is kind of show you guys where the last video that we did. And if you haven't seen that video, of course, you can always click up here and check it out when we did the planting of the Everglades tomatoes. And we also kind of did a tour at the end of that gardening video. I'm no master gardener by any means, but I like making videos like this because of the fact that a lot of people out there, you know, in regards to emergency preparedness or love to grow their own food, whatever it may be, run into these situations, these ruts where they try to grow things and they just don't grow. Like, oh, where I live is just too hot, or maybe where you live is too cold. And I'm not the best when it comes to cold climate environments and stuff like that, because I've never grown stuff in there. I have lived in those environments, but it was when my mom was alive and I got to watch her grow things in the garden, like up in Michigan and those areas. But here, being a Florida gardener, I've run into a lot of mistakes and done a lot of crazy things that just didn't work out so well. And I like the fact that I've taken you guys on this journey, and hopefully a lot of you folks out there have had the ability to learn from either the things that I've done right or the things that I've done wrong. You know, because people always tell me, hey, Grey, you cannot grow that. You can't do that. And I always accept that as a challenge. And so when I see the challenge, I always try to push forward through that challenge and grow things like just these beautiful tomato plants that are behind me. Actually, it's one tomato plant variety that's just huge. And wait till you guys see this thing. I counted the tomatoes. I don't know if I can get it all on camera, but there's at least over 50 large tomatoes on this plant. That has never happened. In the years that I've been growing, and for all the folks that have been following me for years, I've never been able to grow this many large tomatoes, and I'm just ecstatic. I also wanted to show you the progress on the Everglades tomatoes and where they're at, and the differences of how I got them stationed. One in full sun, one in this bed, or a couple in this bed, and I even have some on the back wall that, because I tried to give a bunch of them away, which I gave about a dozen or so away during that time, but some had some holdovers, so I decided just to put them in a bucket, because I'm a person that if I grow something, I don't want it to die, and I want it to give it the option to do what it's going to do if it's going to do anything. And they're back behind me just in the shade doing their thing. I have plans for them, and I have a lot more plans for the garden this year. I got a couple of new garden bed trellis type situations. I'm going to be putting in some drip irrigation finally in the far bed over here. We're going to get some of our sweet potatoes going here in the next month or so. And we're going to get rid of all of our cold crop holdovers that we have. We have a head of cabbage. The broccoli is pretty much done. The leeks are probably ready to come out. I'm trying to think, not broccoli. Did I say, yeah, broccoli, cabbage, leeks. The spinach has had it. I wanted to show you the progress on the beans. We've been harvesting these beans over and over and over again. And now I've been thinking, because the peas have had it. We got one good harvest out of the peas. They're pretty much at the end of their cycle. And I'm going to show you all this stuff as well. So don't think I'm just going to be here as a talking head. and whatnot. The sun is very intense right now, but it feels good. You know what I mean? That vitamin D kind of hitting you. I like being out here. The birds are chirping, the bees are flying around. This is a happy place per se. You know, you can kind of de-stress and do the things out in the garden. And I can't wait to show you guys what's going on and whatnot. Outside of that, folks, you know, stay tuned. I will do some specific videos on like our Malabar spinach that we did several years ago that we're doing this year. It's a heat tolerant type of spinach that will grow throughout the summer. It will thrive during the summertime, and learning what plants work with you in your environment and your zone is really key to honing down in ways to feed your family and grow things throughout the year, depending on how things fall. I've watched tons and tons of gardening channels, and I found a couple now that are in my area. They're like neighbors almost, even one in this county and then one in the county over. And I've been watching the things they do, and they're pretty successful in their channels, and they have a lot of great advice, and I'm slowly starting to pick up on those little tidbits. You know, I never try to focus down on one specific thing when it comes to a channel. I don't find one channel, that's all I watch. I like to diversify, I guess, my viewing time. Outside of that, like I said, herbs and stuff, we got lots of things we're going to be pushing. The blueberries are starting to flower, so that's a plus. Blackberries still quiet. Who knows? Maybe it won't do anything. And yeah, the birds are very active, unless they're coming to get me. I don't know. They're all watching me. Maybe they want their chance of being on YouTube. I don't know. But it's a beautiful day, and I'm going to go ahead and start this and kind of, I just wanted to give you guys somewhat of a long-winded intro of what's going on. There's something that I haven't told you, my viewers, yet that happened in my life just recently, and I'm dealing with that personally right now before I release it to the public. And what I mean by public is you, my subscribers. Something that I just don't even know how to put it into words right now. Something very shocking happened to my family, and I'll get there eventually and I'll explain what happened. But I felt like I just needed to come out here and do something and keep my mind occupied. So, all right, folks, thank you for listening. Let's go ahead and do this little bit of a garden tour and update. Specifically, I want to focus in on these tomatoes to give some of you folks out there hope that are in these hotter climates. And I did plant this tomato plant in November. If you guys watched the channel, I remember, I think I went over that and showed you where it was. And since that video, everything has exploded. Even with the warm and mild temperatures that we've been getting, because we've been getting up into the mid to 80s or so, even back down into some of the 50s and whatnot at night. But evidently this combo of temperatures has been working really well this year. Rain has been hit and miss, so I'm having to keep an eye on things and moisture and stuff like that. But enough of me rambling. Let's go ahead and take a little walk around the garden, and I just kind of want to share that with you folks. I also want to know, for all you folks out there watching this video, are you starting your garden yet? Are you still frozen? Are you putting things in? Are you watching all the channels out there that are putting 35 things to grow in March, or 15 things that you better start now, or stuff like that? Are you guys watching those channels to kind of get an idea of what you want to do? What type of plants are you growing this year? What you got going on? Are you using a raised bed? Are you using grow bags? Are you just direct sowing into the ground? Where are you from? Are you from Nebraska, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, like myself? Like, where are you guys at? Please put that down in the comments. All right, folks, let's go ahead and do this garden tour. All right, so first, I kind of wanted to start just as an overview so that you guys can see because I started here last time, I think, in the last garden. You can kind of see all the growth that we have before we move up into the garden. We'll start with this garden bed right here. Then we'll move to that one, and we'll finish up with this one. Just to kind of give you guys an overview, because I want to start with this one here because this is where the tomato plants are that I am shocked. Again, I just overwhelmed and overjoyed that I've had a successful large tomato plant do well. Actually extremely well, and I wanted to share that with you folks. All right, so I don't know if I can back up far enough to show you this tomato plant and to the extent of how much it's grown. But let's kind of zoom up in here and just show you some of these huge tomatoes that are growing in there. I mean, everywhere you look, there's these huge tomatoes. I mean, look at this guy way back in here. I mean, look at that guy. There we go. I wanted to see if I can get a better angle, get some of these leaves out the way, but that guy is just huge. Another tomato there. As I pull out here, you can see there's more tomatoes there. Everywhere you look on this plant, there's just tomatoes. I can pull back here if I can get out of the shadow here. There's a lot of shadows because of the sun and the angle that I'm at, but just tomatoes. All the way up to the top, tomatoes. And I don't know how to explain it. Like I said, I can try to go through this whole thing and just show you the abundance of tomatoes in this plant everywhere you look. But there's just tomatoes everywhere in here. See if I can come in there. There's a tomato way over there, another tomato there. Little guy growing there. And my apologies, I'm hand holding all this. I'm just doing with the phone today, not with the cool guy gear. But I just wanted to, just amazed at how well this plant is doing. And it's literally just one plant. It's all stemming from that one plant right there. One plant has turned into this giant thing. And I'll go to the other side so I can show you just how big it is. I don't know if the camera's going to do it justice, but the plant starts from here and just encompasses almost all the way up to there. And remember, I planted this in early November, early to mid, somewhere around there. And here we are in March. And like I said, the plant itself is just doing really good. You can kind of even see some tomatoes over there, hiding through the thing over there, some more tomatoes. Like I said, we tried to count them, me and the wife counted them, and they were just probably over 50 tomatoes. All right, let's talk about the 2 Everglades tomatoes in this bed. So here at the bottom of the bed, if you guys remember in the previous video, we stuck in these little plants that were barely peeking over the top of these boards right here. And now if you look at it, it's just grown. It's over 4 to 4.5 feet tall growing up this trellis. It's just doing so well. These Everglades tomatoes, and you guys will watch this progress over the summer. We are starting to get some fruit off that as well. I've been seeing some of the flowers and all the bees all over this thing. And if we continue back down this way, this is the other spot where we grew the Everglades tomatoes. Now these are more of a currant or cherry style tomato. But as you can see, they're doing really well. We're training them to go up this trellis, and eventually we'll hope to keep it going all the way around because they grow 14, 16 feet. And I just want to see tomatoes just hanging off this thing. Now you guys probably remember when I first put in these plants, these mammoth sunflowers. And as you can see, we got one that's opened up already. I'll put my hand in frame so that you guys can kind of see the size of that. And this one has gotten a lot taller. It's taller than I am. So, and I think the one over here, I think she is starting to flower as well. I'll try to bend this one down. I got these stakes in here because the wind around here lately has been very tough. Let me see if I can pick this up and go up on top. I don't know. I can't see. I'll have to look back on the video and see if I can see anything, but just a very tall thing, and they're gorgeous. If you like sunflower seeds, the mammoth is the way to go. And they're just done extremely well, even with the nasty wind that we've been getting. But I did help them a little bit with some support. The garden bed is somewhat crazy right now, folks, with all the flowers in there, but the bees really like it, so I figured I'd keep them in there before I clean everything out and just kind of showcase, you know, these flowers. I'll put the names. I always forget the names of the flowers, but they're self-seeding and they're all over the place now. But the broccoli, it's at its end. My wife's just been snipping at it and snipping at it. As you can see, she's coming in here and taking these small florets, and she's still cooking them up. Some of it's starting to bolt, so we're going to be cleaning this up and getting rid of this stuff. But I just kind of wanted to, she wanted to keep it in there as long as possible. As long as it's producing something, she wanted to keep it in there. But as you can see, it's pretty much at its end, and she's been chopping it, and she's been very happy with the progress of this plant this year. Another plant that we planted back in November One last thing I wanted to kind of go over in this bed is my Cuban oregano, which, I don't know if you guys can see that. I know the flowers are kind of hiding it a bit, but it is doing extremely well. I did really well with this plant before. It has medicinal purposes, and it's really easy to cook with, and you just need a little bit of it. For the folks that are those asthmatics out there, this is a plant you should be growing, or any type of respiratory ailments. Cuban oregano can help with that. All right, so let's talk about bed number 2. And I don't know if you guys remember, I'm assuming a lot of you guys, people that specifically follow me and watch every video that I put out, which I truly appreciate, when we first put in these Everglades tomatoes, and as soon as it started warming up, they started shooting up. And I can come in a little closer, come down in here, so you guys can just see the tremendous growth that we're happening with this Everglades tomato. And like I said, I'm hoping that it's just going to keep on growing. I'll go to the other side as we're training it to work its way into this trellis to hold it as it's growing. You see it's growing out the sides, and what I'll do as these pieces get bigger, I'll wrap them back up into here and then let them kind of, you know, zigzag in and out of there. But they're doing really well, and I can't wait to keep you guys updated on the progress of these Everglades tomatoes. All right, as you see, I think I did a video when we harvested all the greens. After we harvest them, we ate some that day, but we also froze a bunch for future consumption for some of the recipes that we had. These are our beans. As you can see, you guys remember the beans were just probably barely above that one there, and they have done their thing all the way up the trellis. And we've harvested beans after beans after beans. I have a couple clips that I'll show you while I'm kind of walking around this thing here, but all the beans that we've harvested. One of the harvests we did just a few days ago, because of course you want to keep on picking it to let the plant grow and grow and grow, because it keeps on signaling, hey, I want to make more seeds per se, to, you know, keep on going. So we've had probably 4 or 5 nice decent harvests from the beans themselves. I think this is the yard long that we've been doing here. Sometimes I get certain names mixed up, but I'm pretty sure someone always finds a way to correct me. But I'm pretty sure that's what they are. Outside of that, move over here to the peas, which are pretty much done. We've only got 2 harvests out of the peas, and of course you can see that the heat is devastating these things. But I'm gonna go ahead and probably pick some of these off. Peas didn't do so well, so next year what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plant these probably in December, because they seem to do well in cold from what I've read. Not so much in here. Once we pull these out, I'm either going to put some cowpeas in here or some black beans, and let those grow on the trellis. And then for the centerpiece of this bed here, I think what I'm going to do is probably, I don't know, I might grow either some Seminole pumpkins in the middle, or I might just do some sweet potatoes in there. But I'm worried that between this and beans, I might not have enough space, but I'll figure it out. If you guys have any ideas, something that would work in my warm environment for the center of this bed, because I want to use up that space, and eventually as the Everglades reach up there, it's going to provide shade for whatever that I have in here. So something that's somewhat heat tolerant, that can use partial shade or whatnot. I just know sweet potatoes don't have any issues at all. They make great ground cover, which will keep the moisture in this bed, but also I'm going to be probably putting the irrigation system in here. All right, so let's go ahead and move over to the other bed. I did forget to mention that we've harvested at least a couple of times from the accident where the beans spilt, and shockingly, these beans grew all the way into the ground. You can see there's beans down there that I probably need to harvest by the time I'm done doing this video. That did better than expected in Florida sand. I mean, if you look at the soil here, this is where the dog likes to run and tear up the grass, but it's pretty much just sand. And yeah, the beans still did good. As you can see, the kale is still going. We've harvested, folks, I don't know what we're going to do with all this kale. And this is just a small section of kale. The wife has harvested so much of this. We have so much of it frozen. We've processed so much of this kale. And here it is. She's going to have to process it again. And this is probably like the 6th time that she's processed this kale. The broccoli itself is had it. It's done. These are the leeks down here. And she's going to harvest these leeks. If I can get down in here. She's going to be harvesting these leeks here very soon because they're ready to come up, and we'll be processing those leeks that are sitting in there. The wife's Jasmine, of course, is doing well. Oregano makes great ground cover, doing really good in this kind of like partly shaded area. Makes great for all different types of recipes. Of course, we have some other plants in here. This thing, I want to do a video on this by itself. This is Malabar spinach. I want to go more deep into that for the folks that are in the hot, areas like Florida or other places like this that want to have some sort of spinach or spinach-like plant that can grow through the entire summer in really hot environments. This may be the plant for you. And as soon as it started getting warm, the plant, as you can see, is doing well, and it makes kind of like an ornamental kind of looking plant. We're just waiting in a couple more days for this. This is the cabbage, the last cabbage head that we have. It's pretty much dang near ready. We're going to go ahead and turn that probably. I forget what she's going to do. I think she's going to do a sauerkraut with it. I forget. I think that's English thyme here. But you can see it's all still doing pretty good. That's kind of the gist of where the garden's at this mild afternoon here in Florida. I think we're doing good. I don't know. I think we're doing pretty good this year. We've learned so much over the last 4 years of just gardening and putting our hands in the dirt. I mean, this bed here has grown corn and squash and beans and broccoli, and anything you can think of has been grown in this bed. And we just keep on re-amending it, and this is building a whole ecosystem down inside of it. So I think as they call it, the microbes or whatever inside the bed, and it's just, I can't complain. I feel personally that we've done a good job, growing our own food, and doing all this experimentation, so that when we finally one of these days, we'll get our property, and I want to do like 8 raised beds. I want to do a food forest. There's so many things I want to do now that I've learned what I can and cannot grow in Florida. Anyways, folks, God bless all you amazing people out there. Thank you so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate your support. And I do have another journey in the gardening kind of sect of things that I'll be sharing with you folks. Here's a little sneak peek of what I mean. Because I want to get into the indoor gardening and see how that plays out for us, for not only for like microgreens, for starts and stuff like that, to get things going and getting things progressing a little bit faster, and get my hand into that kind of realm of things. So that's what's next. But anyways, folks, this is GreyMan. I'm out. Catch you guys on the rebound. God bless all you amazing people out there. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and enjoy your rest of your weekend.